Goo.gl, and then case sensitive after the slash. Okay, so it's 11. I'm going to go ahead and get started because I have a lot to cover today. I'll leave this up here for just a couple more minutes to give you a chance to get the link. This is the link directly to the presentation, which is embedded on my blog. So my name is Kasey Bell. I am here from Dallas, Texas today. So good morning, y'all. Good morning. Do I have any y'alls in here? Come on, I know. So, yeah, and it's been cold in Dallas, and I came, it's cold here too, so I'm going to try not to wear a jacket during the presentation, but I'm pretty cold this morning. So, anybody else still need this? So, a little bit about me. I'm a digital learning consultant. I work for an education service center in Texas. We have them all throughout the state. I do lots of training, a lot of Google training. I'm a certified Google education trainer, soon to be Google certified teacher, and I am also the GEG leader for North Texas. So there are Google educator groups on Google+, which I will introduce to you a little bit later. And feel free to connect with me any way that you'd like to connect. I've already been following many new people this morning, so I'm Shake Up Learning on Twitter, and use any of these little icons down here. These are all interactive, so if you'd like to connect on Google+, Pinterest, or any of those other places there. So I would like to start off with a video. And so this is a brand new app that Google just came, Google's constantly coming out with amazing things. So I just want to give you this to get us started today. It's called the Levity algorithm.
Effective teamwork is a critical part of success in any business. At Google, we strive to help people work better together. So today, we're introducing new features to Google Apps that will make the work week go a bit smoother, allowing Google Apps users to bring a little extra something to their job performance.
I used to schedule staff meetings and the room would end up half empty, so I tried these new features on Google Apps. It renamed my calendar events with algorithmically determined suggestions from that days. Now, people reschedule their birthday parties just to attend my meetings.
Another problem we sought to address was intra-office communications.
My employees may not always appreciate the verbosity of my memoranda, but extensive itemization is an essential part of institutional transparency. Now I let the Levity algorithm type my emails. HR memos now, the new hotness. The Levity algorithm adds Easter eggs. That smiley face is Abraham Lincoln.
It helps to tap into experts on giving the right finishing touches to close a deal.
Visual presentations seem to be the most impactful, which can be difficult when you're a bit of a wordsmith. Now, the algorithm enables me to optimize visual components for eye-catching results. Flames from my head.
The Levity algorithm was developed by a team of leading engineers with access to a repository of 50 years of comedic material from the Second City. Whether boosting meeting attendance, easing office interactions, or punching up presentations, the Levity algorithm is a highly responsive tool with powerful functionality anytime.
Hey, close the door. We've got slides to update.
Okay, I think most of you caught on to the fact that that was a thing too.
Effective teamwork is a critical part of it.
One of the things that I love about Google is that they love to make fun of themselves, as innovative as they are. So they put out these little gems, usually around April Fools. So look for these online. I have a whole playlist on my YouTube channel of all the funny Google videos, and I use them in training all the time. So they would also be great to use in the classroom. Just as a side note, there's so many of these. A lot of them would be great writing prompts and things like that for kids to get really creative. And I kind kind of like to play a little trick and not tell you that it's fake until after it's so you figure it out. And sometimes I like to watch the change on the face. So anyway, this is really, and if you didn't notice, that's Glenn from The Walking Dead. So if that wasn't a big giveaway, that this was going to be a little less true than what you think. So let me get this straight here. So that is called the levity algorithm. You can find it on YouTube. And by the way, if you didn't know this, if you are laughing while you're learning, you're more likely to remember it. There's research to support that. So using humor in the classroom is always a grand idea. So we're here to talk about these two ecosystems. So we've got Apple versus Google going on in a lot of different places, yes. And they don't always like to play nice with each other. Google is a very open company. They have a very different philosophy from Apple, who, and you'll notice I have both things going on. I've got a big Google sticker on my MacBook here. So, Apple is very proprietary, and they like to keep their things just for themselves. So it has been a bit of a war going on when Google Apps came out for education, and iPads became such a big device in the classroom. So let's talk about what it was like a few years ago. This is a true quote, I won't give you the name, but any district that uses Google Apps and decides to deploy iPads one-to-one needs to be punched in the face. This is a quote from a Google certified teacher who said this. It just didn't work well. You just didn't do it. At that point, if there were apps to download, they were few and far between, and they did not work well. They just did not talk to each other very well at all. So, you want to use Google Apps on the iPad, good luck with that. That's pretty much where we were. But I am here to tell you, Obi-Wan, there is hope that we have come a long, long way in terms of using Google Apps on the iPad. So, fasten your seatbelts. We're going to cover over 30 apps, I lost count, in about 50 minutes. So, like I said, everything's in the slide. All of the apps are linked to the App Store. So if you have these up on your iPad, you can click on them and go download the apps as we go. You might have trouble keeping up though. Please feel free to raise your hand, stop me, share something if you use it in the classroom. Please interact if you feel the need here. So I want to give you a link to an infographic that I made for Google Apps on the iPad. And it's a little condensed in here because of the presentation mode. But so this lists all the different apps and different categories here for you in an infographic style and why you should use them. These are all the Google apps. We are going to talk about the third-party apps as well, but so that is linked there for you as well. This is a link to the official Google Apps for iOS webpage where they show their featured apps. It does not include everything, but this would be a go-to resource in terms of just trying to keep up with what Google is doing on iOS devices. So the first app I want to talk about is the Google Search app. So you might have this one on your device and you probably forgot about it because you're like, I was a few months ago, like, why do I need a separate search app? I can search when I'm in Chrome or Safari. There's a built-in search box. So I want you to give it a second look. How many of you have heard of Google Now? Okay, so let me show you what Google Now actually is. And this is just a quick commercial, but this applies to iOS devices as well.
We all need a lot of information to get through our day. So wouldn't it be cool if it was just there for you, right when you needed it? Introducing Google Now for iOS. The right information at just the right time. On your way to work each morning, Google Now shows you the fastest way to get there. When you're heading to the airport, get live updates about your flight. And as soon as you land, check out local phrases and rates. During the big game, get updates in real time. Or instantly learn about nearby attractions, movies, and restaurants. Google Now is easy to find. Open the Google Search app, sign in, and swipe up. Google Now. The right information at just the right time.
So that is part of the Google Search app. And that's what they call Google's Intelligent Assistant. You might call her Google's version of Siri. But Google Now has these little cards. So like you saw on the video that you can swipe around. And the more Google learns about you, the better they get. Okay, so for instance, if I get a flight confirmation sent to my Gmail address, I will have a Google Now card telling me what time my flight leaves, where the date is. I even had a notification pop up a few months ago. It was the first time I really noticed it. It's like it's time to leave the house for the airport. And it calculated what time I needed to be at the airport and how long it would take me to get from my house to Love Field. And it was pretty dead on that timing. So really useful information. It'll tell you if there's heavy traffic on the way home or to work, that sort of thing. So that is Google Now. Another piece, and sorry, I shouldn't have said Siri about Google Now. That's the personal assistant. OK Google is the voice piece of this. So how many of you have used OK Google? Anybody know what I'm talking about? Okay, a few of you. You've probably noticed it more in terms of what people are doing with Google Glass. But it also applies to what you can do in the Google Search app. And this sets it apart from using the search in Chrome because it is a voice trigger to do a search. And all you have to do is say the words, OK Google, and then it starts listening for your voice for the search term. So I have on here. So I'm just going to play it from here. But when I say the words, OK Google, when did World War II happen?
Start date is September 1st, 1939.
So you can ask it in the form of a question, and it can read the answer back. So of course I get the full search right here with the images, just like I would in the web. But think of what this means for the classroom. Think of those kids, the little bitty ones who don't know how to spell anything yet, but they might know how to say it to help them with their searching. Kids that struggle with all different types of learning disabilities. This is great. It's really nice, not that anybody ever uses their phone while they're driving, but to do a quick search for something on your phones as well. So that is the OK Google feature. And you're only going to get that in the Google Search app. Now Chrome, which we'll talk about in a second, has a voice feature, but you actually have to tap it. With this one, all you have to do is open the app and say the words OK Google. This is also something that works on your desktops if you use Chrome. And if you don't use Chrome, I will talk to you later. So there's also some embedded tips down here. So there's a link here to some great lesson plans to help your kids become better searchers. So that is down there as well. So moving on to the Chrome browser. If you, like I said, if you're not using Chrome, you should be, and you should forget that Internet Explorer even exists on your computers, please. You want to use the Chrome browser, one, because when you log in, you can have it sync your bookmarks across all of your devices. You can move from your iPad to your desktop to your phone to whatever you're using and get to all of your bookmarks. You can even have it sync your tabs across devices so you can move seamlessly. With that in mind, in your classrooms, how many of you have shared iPads? Anybody have shared? Really? I'm surprised. Okay, because the sharing is not so pretty, right? It's hard. But if you set up a generic Google account logged into Chrome on those iPads, you could set up the bookmarks you want those kids to get to ahead of time on all of the iPads, and you would only have to do it on the account on the computer. You wouldn't actually have to physically touch each iPad, which you sometimes have to do. So you do have the voice search, it's just not the OK Google. And then you have the Omnibox, which I think we've become pretty used to because most browsers now have that one box where we either type in the full address or we use it to search. So download the Chrome browser, sign into the Chrome browser is really what's going to make it powerful. So just a quick note about using certain apps through the browser versus a specific app for that functionality. So this is just one of those things that's improved over time, but there are still certain things that you can do in Google Drive through the browser that you can't do in Google Drive through the app. And so you'll probably know that if you use Google Sites, there's not a specific that sometimes you can do things through the browser. Oftentimes it's more cumbersome than through the app. But honestly, the only way to learn this is if you can't get done what you need to get done in the app, try it in the browser, and vice versa, because sometimes you'll find some additional functionality that way. And just as a note about all of these apps, Google works best with Google. So if you have all of the Google apps installed, they're going to work better together and give you more options. So another reason to make sure that you're downloading most of these apps here. So how many of you use Gmail? How many of you have Gmail at school? Okay, that's great. I still have to use Outlook for work, and it drives me crazy. I wish I could use Gmail. So with Gmail, if you have not switched to using the Gmail app, I want you to give it a try. If you're still using the Mail app on your devices, forget it. It is not the best choice. I learned that the hard way. I kind of got stuck in my ways. I was like, oh, it came on my device. I've been using it forever. I can check Outlook. I can check everything else. The Gmail app is so much better and so much faster than the native Mail app that comes on your iPads. You can connect and check multiple accounts in one app, which I have several Gmail accounts, so I can check them all in one app. Better and faster search options. I don't know about you, but I used to get caught in the load more in the Mail app when I was searching for an old email. Anybody know what I'm talking about? And it would take forever. That's because the Mail app is actually downloading information every time you click to load more. Whereas if you're using the Gmail app, it's just pulling from the cloud, so it's going to be that much faster. So if you open any links, and this is true for all of the apps here, they'll open in Chrome, or it will give you the option to open in Chrome. So that used to drive me crazy when I started using Chrome on the iPad, and every time I click on the link, it would open Safari, and then I'd want to go bookmark it, so I was having to go back and forth. So it doesn't happen. Again, Google works best with Google, and they will integrate with the other apps. This is just a side note. Anybody else testing Inbox for Gmail? Hey, I sort of am testing it. I'm having a hard time adjusting to it, but it is a new way of organizing and checking your email. It's in a sort of a beta phase right now, but if you want to try it out, you email inbox@google.com and ask for an invite. So lots of people testing that out. It lets you snooze emails and things like that, so it's just a completely different approach to email. Calendars. Now, I was working on this a few days ago. I was like, I really want to give you some good apps for calendars. We do not have a Google app that is made by Google. However, there are some great third-party apps, again, better than the calendar that came on your iPad. And the one in yellow is one that I just discovered and why I highlighted it. It's called Fantastical 2. Anybody else using that one? I'm in love with it, and mostly because it has voice dictation. So I can set up reminders and calendar appointments just by using the little microphone on it, and it understands this Texas accent, which Siri does not speak East Texas, I'm just telling you. So I really, really like that one, and I did pay $9.99, which it says in the store that is 33% off. So it's an expensive app, but Sunrise at the top is free, and it is also fabulous. There's also a Chrome app for that on the desktop, so if you are interested in sort of combining those worlds. The one I used before, I just switched to Fantastical, is Calendars 5 by Readdle, and it is also very, very good. It is $6.99, occasionally goes free. It will also sync your tasks and your reminders as well, like your iOS reminders if you use that app as well. The Fantastical 2, the other catch is there is a separate app for iPad and iPhone. So you have to pay, if you want it on both, you'll have to pay for both. And then iCalendar is also very nice, and it is $2.99. But it does have in-app purchases, so I felt like I should warn you about that. So lots of calendar options. Like I said, I have to use Outlook for work, so I have all of my calendars syncing into one. Any users of Google Keep? A little bit. I've used it and abandoned it several times. I kind of do that with to-do list apps anyway, but nothing bad against it. It's a great app if you've never seen it. Looks like little sticky notes on a website. And so you can set up shopping lists, to-do lists, all kinds of lists. And this is a fantastic app for the iPad. I just learned about this one as well. It's $1.99. If you want it without ads, it's free. If the ads don't bother you, but they are pop-up ads. So check that out if you're looking for a way to get organized and keep your to-do list. So this one is probably one that most of you already have, Google Drive. And if not, you definitely want to get that. That's one I use probably more than anything. Accessing your files all in one place. Of course, you can make files available offline. There's a toggle switch. If you click on the little eye next to one of your files, you can tell it to make it available offline and download it to the iPad. So that's great if you have kids that have to go home with those devices who don't have internet and let them keep working, or if you're going somewhere, you're going to be on a plane and you need to be working on some of your files, you can work offline on your iPad. So you can also now download the Docs app, Sheets and Slides apps, and we're going to talk about those in just a second. And you can passcode protect files. So iPad is automatically, once you set it up, you're logged in. So if you had something personal on there and someone got your device and opened up Google Drive, they could read some of that information, like a credit card number or a statement or something saved in there. So just keep that in mind that you can passcode protect those files. And here is an iTunes U course that another district in Texas created for maximizing Google Drive on the iPad. So Google Drive for iOS has had several updates in the last few months. I created a cheat sheet for teachers right here just to sort of go over all of the options. So this is just a link to get to the cheat sheet. So if you or any other teachers that you know need a little overview on what you can do in Google Drive for iOS. So Docs and Sheets came along, they broke out the apps. Everything used to be inside of Drive, and at first I was really confused on why we suddenly had to have so many more apps, but it's making more sense now. Of course, you can create and edit your documents and spreadsheets. You've got synchronous collaboration, and that's another piece that's come a long way. I don't know if you remember how terrible the little check mark was, and I would lose things when I was saving on the iPad, but it is much more like the desktop type of synchronous collaboration. And now you can download and edit your files offline, of course, and you have the ability to edit Office files through these apps. You can edit a DocX, you can edit an Excel spreadsheet in the Google apps. Okay, that is also true on your desktop. You do need a Chrome extension to make that work. So Google Slides. So this was the one, all my presentations are in slides. I am a believer in the sharing is caring, so I give you everything that I have. I put it all in a slide and share it out. I was terribly disappointed when this finally came out because it didn't allow me to add images and videos, which most of my slideshows are pretty heavy on images and videos. So that is the one little note down here. Of course, you can create and edit presentations, synchronous collaboration, edit offline. You can edit PowerPoint files, which is pretty powerful to now have that integrated into the Google Slides app. And you can present directly from your device. So those are all good things. And the thing that I don't understand is if you have a PowerPoint file uploaded to your Google Drive, you edit it on your iPad, you can add images and videos in PowerPoint, but not in Google Slides. So yeah, I just can't imagine why the functionality came to the PowerPoint version first, but I'm crossing my fingers because I use slides so much.
You can do it on your laptop, right? On Chrome, but just not on the app?
Right, not on the iPad. Right. Yeah. Yeah. So the other pieces here, I'm going to switch gears. So we kind of covered all the productivity stuff. How many of you are on Google Plus? Okay, I am a huge fan of Google Plus. I'm very active, probably more active on Google Plus now than I am on Twitter. But I love Google Plus for many different reasons. One reason you will want it on your devices is when you install the app, you can set it to automatically back up your photos and videos to your Google account. Which, by the way, if you have a Google for Education account, you now have unlimited storage. Save those photos and videos because those are the hogs of the space on your devices, right? Those are the things that you have to go and clean up periodically because your device is telling you to run out of space. If you back up to Google, you've already got a copy there. And Google storage space, even if you're talking about your personal account, is cheaper than iCloud at this point. So auto backup photos and videos. As a teacher, if I've got shared iPads and I have that app installed on all of those shared iPads, I can go to my computer and see all the videos and photos that they took with those devices creating their projects without ever touching those iPads. They're syncing to the cloud in my Google Plus account. So very, very helpful. The other thing I want to show you, do you know about Auto Awesome? So Auto Awesome is awesome. So and this is a little scrunched up here. Let me see if I can. See if it'll fix it if I refresh it. So Auto Awesome, if you take a series of photos, it will turn it into an animated GIF, basically. So this is one I worked at Campalooza last weekend, and so this is us having fun at the photo booth, and we just took a series of pictures, and so we attempted to do the wave, and it did not come off very well. So, but Auto Awesome will allow you to do that, and it's automatic. I didn't do anything. Google detected the series of photos and matched it up. So that is called Auto Awesome. The other feature with your pictures is something called Stories, and it will automatically create a story for you based on like a time period. It'll detect you're taking photos suddenly now and you're in a different location, you're on vacation. And so it'll put all of those together in a photo story for you. Google Plus is currently the fastest growing social network. And if you are not part of Google Plus communities, I highly encourage you to take a look at that. If you get on Google Plus, the communities is really where I have found so much value and connected with some amazing educators. So give Google Plus a second look, please. Hangouts. So Hangouts has its own app. And Hangouts is more, people tend to think, oh, Hangouts is like Skype. Well, it's sort of like Skype, but it's a lot more as well. You can text and video chat, of course, and you can get notifications on your phone. So I'm part of different Hangout groups and things like that. And you have a video conference. If you are using your Google for Education account, it's up to 15. Personal account is up to 10. So, and some people are like, well, that's not enough. I need more than 15. If you have ever been in a Hangout, you will quickly learn why you don't want any more than 15 is actually way too much. But to have them actually participating in the Hangout where they can talk and interact. The joining Hangouts on Air is a little bit different. So you can join a Hangout on Air on your iPad. You cannot start a Hangout on Air. And a Hangout on Air is a little bit different. It is almost like a broadcast, well, it is a broadcast, a live broadcast on YouTube of a Hangout. And they are automatically recorded, which is great. So you'll see a lot of presentations and things like that are called Hangouts on Air because they use that format, and you can also have sort of a separate Q&A going off with other people who don't necessarily have to be in the Hangout. You can also make phone calls using this app, free to the US and Canada. So Hangouts app is very, very useful. See, bloggers or blogger users a little bit. So do you use the app?
I tried to, but it didn't work.
It didn't work?
I don't know if it's being blocked.
Oh, well, hopefully not. So there is, of course, an app for that, and Blogger is Google's blogging platform. So, of course, you can compose your blog posts and publish directly to the web from your device. You can manage multiple accounts. So if you have a teacher blog and a student blog and a personal blog, you can manage all those there. You can also embed images and take photos with your device and directly upload those. So I think this is extremely useful if you've got students blogging and possibly, they're doing a science lab. They're taking pictures, they're reflecting, they're talking about their process, and they can blog about it all within the device and not having to go, okay, now when you come back tomorrow and you've forgotten everything that you've done, now go type. So you can make it completely interactive. Field trips and things like that would be great too. And there's a 4-step guide to blogging in the classroom. Told you I'm going to talk fast. So Google Maps. Okay, I probably would not be here today if it were not for Google Maps. So even though I'm staying in Hampton, but no, I'm terrible kind of don't know what I did before GPS became so much part of my life, but of course there's voice-guided GPS. And, you know, I have experienced it being completely wrong. Anybody else has been there? It's definitely not perfect. However, I will say it is still almost always better than Apple's Maps. Apple's Maps just still have not been able to compete. I have had an experience at iPadpalooza where it kept telling me, you have arrived at your destination. I was on an overpass looking down on the hotel, you know, so I was not there yet, and I had to switch to Apple, but for the most part, the Google Maps are the most reliable. Of course, you've got traffic conditions at your fingertips, integrates with your Google account, so if you've not logged in to the app on your phones, log in, because that's where you're going to see some of your other connections moving into place. For instance, I remember back in March, I opened up Google Maps, and it said coming up down at the bottom, it knew I was going to a certain location, and it had the address to the hotel already in my Google Maps. So again, it's connecting to all of your Google accounts. You can save those locations, access across devices, and of course I've talked mostly about personal use, but there are tons of uses for Google Maps in the classroom. Anybody who used Google Maps in their classroom want to share anything? The hands go down.
I've used it for a Bible class, doing tours of the Holy Land. There's now a little, in Google Maps, there's a little corner box that takes you to Google Earth automatically. So I'm using it on the ruins of Jericho.
That's awesome. That's a perfect segue to where we're going next.
I just used it recently to show them how close Manassas is to Washington, D.C., to show how close the Battle of Bulge Line was.
Yes.
So, you know, they did the idea.
Yes, there's so much, and there's a search engine on the Maps engine, Google Maps engine Lite on the desktop as well, where you can create some really cool interactives for your students. And there's a whole section here for using Google Maps in the classroom. The next one, of course, is Google Earth. These two have been merged a lot as of late. And if you haven't seen in the news not too long ago, there was a picture of a camel with the big Google backpack on it. Did y'all see that? Because they're mapping the desert now, and they have a camel doing that for them. So I've seen the guy, you know, backpack in the Grand Canyon. They're mapping everything. You know, we've got the moon and the sun, and they're mapping everything. I'm wondering if they tag along on the ride on the Comet, if we're going to have Google Comet. But so this is a window to anywhere. This is an amazing tool that's actually been around for quite a while now for your students. So you can view any place on Earth with satellite precision. Of course, those of us who might live in newer neighborhoods are always like, my house isn't there yet. And you go look to see if it has been re-imaged. The coordinates and altitude, you can find that out for all the locations. There's some new 3D flyover imagery. So if you've not gone to some of the major cities like New York, it is like you're in an airplane flying over the city, seeing everything. It's incredible. There is a virtual tour piece of this where you can tour the planet with a guide. And I find it very interesting. You can try to in Google Earth as well. So, and if you've never been to the Google Earth for Educators site that's linked down there, spend some time there. There's lesson plans. They have a very robust section of resources for teachers to use Google Earth in the classroom. So this one, I bet everybody knows this one, right? YouTube. So what do you think of YouTube? Is it blocked around here? Do students have access to it? No? We're still having some issues in Texas, and getting it unblocked for students as well is one that we fight a lot. So, video learning at your fingertips, you know, and most of you in the room have probably made this switch too, but the students, when they want to go learn something, where do they go? YouTube. They can learn how to do just about anything. And I have to tell you this story because just a few weeks ago, I was trying to get my TSA pre-check, which is really such a story, but I needed my passport, was in my little fireproof safe, and I couldn't find the key. paranoid. I'm like, oh my gosh, I've got so much important stuff in this safe. What am I going to do? So what do? I get on and I Google it, thinking there's probably some way to get a key or something is what I thought. I came across a video on YouTube created by a little kid who taught me how to break into my safe using the little nail file on a finger clipper. And it worked. And I did it. I figured I'd be the one that would twist it off, but I have since learned that my safe is not so safe. It might have been fireproof, but it was definitely easy to break into. I couldn't believe it was a little kid showing me how to do it. And I don't think he wasn't like encouraging bad behavior. He was just showing, he liked to tinker with tools and things like that. So it was really amazing. And I'm amazed at what kids create on YouTube. It just blows me away. So you can, of course, from the app, upload directly to YouTube, access and edit playlists. If you're not creating playlists for you, for your students, for your staff, wherever you are, that is a great curation tool. And that's really how, I have a few of my own videos, but for the most part, when I find great videos, like all the ones Kathy was showing this morning, I'm going to go into my playlist and I'm going to start adding them to playlists so I know how to get back to them. So anytime I'm looking for, what was that video, I go back into my playlist. Those are my bookmarks, and then I can share them out with other teachers. So, and if you're not subscribing to channels, subscribe to Google for Education. They have their own channel. Edutopia has a channel. Just about any of your major organizations are going to have channels. So check those out. Subscribe to channels. You'll get the updates as they come in when they upload new videos. So again, another idea with those shared iPad situations, if you logged in with a generic account on shared iPads, you would then be able to set up those playlists so all the kids would have the same list of videos to watch. And you wouldn't have to go touch every iPad to do that. So YouTube Capture. So this might be a little lesser known tool that works in conjunction with YouTube. And this is why you want to use this app. Capturing your video and editing. So you can edit right in the app before you upload it to YouTube. You know, gone are the days where we just uploaded because we didn't have enough time to take it into iMovie and delete the 5 minutes where the video was sitting, you know, face down or something like that. You can trim your clips. You can add a soundtrack from your iTunes music, or I believe you can also add from the YouTube music that is available. There's color correction, stabilization, and then you can upload directly to YouTube. And by the way, if you didn't know, there's a great YouTube editor on the desktop version. A lot of people still don't know that you can edit and do some great things just within the editor on YouTube. So YouTube Capture. So Google Play for Education and Google Play in general. If you have an Android device, you've probably heard of Google Play. That is sort of the app store for the Android devices. And Google Play now has a few of their apps available through the iOS App Store, Apple's App Store. So this is one of them. It's called Google Play Books. And the reason why you might consider this, one, it's a free ebook reader. So if you think of like the Kindle app, the Nook app, iBooks, those types of apps, this is just another ebook reader. However, this is quoting from the iTunes Store, millions of free books. So free books for your kids, free books for you. Check it out. I imagine these are mostly the ones that are in the public domain, but millions is quite a bit to claim. So just FYI, last time I checked, you did have to set up your downloads on the desktop before you could actually get the book onto the device. And of course, you can download and read those offline, so that's great when you don't have internet access or if you have kids with access issues at home. Google Play Music is another Google version. You can actually add your music from your iTunes, add photos from iPhoto, and add those into this if you want to use the Google version of iTunes. You can play millions of songs instantly. They have sort of like a Pandora type of radio, and you can enjoy that custom radio with no skip limits. So that's Google Play Music. This just switched, and actually I just caught this. So, anybody ever heard of Google Currents? So, Google Currents is no more. It is now called Google Play Newsstand. So, everything is getting they branded Google Play in terms of some of their apps with media. So Google Play Newsstand is just that. It's a newspaper and magazine-like app for your tablet or smartphone. You can read with You can actually subscribe to your favorite blogs and news feeds using this app. So it's great for you to keep up with your reading, but also great for students in terms of current events, breaking news, that sort of thing. So you can replace that feed reader if you were looking for one as well. So Photosphere. Anybody know about Photosphere? Okay, Photosphere is so cool. So Photosphere was purchased by Google, I want to say less than a year ago. And they published out this app. It allows you to take 360-degree photos. So if I stood in here right now and had the time, I can take an image of everything surrounding me, and it makes a 360 panorama. You can then publish those to Google Maps where they become public. So this becomes a place where you can explore the world in a whole different way. So let me show you my example, which is my first try at a photosphere. And if I can get it a little bit bigger. So I was at the Google offices last Monday in Austin. And so I was like, I'm going to try Photosphere. I kind of played with it, but I really hadn't created a complete one. So it's going to take forever. You can click on the link, by the way, from the slide. And so I took a 360-degree panorama of the whole room that we were working in. We had a lesson plan jam in Austin. And so I just tested it out. By the way, you can't take pictures of people who work at Google. Apparently that recruiters look for pictures and they want to know who, so that they can steal ideas and things from Google. And that I was standing next to a wall, so it did not come out very well. And a few people had a little ghost-like feature. That's because I wasn't real careful to stay in the same exact spot. But I think you get the idea. So that's Photosphere. And this is the Photosphere website. So I connected it now to the map, and I got a little notification when Google had approved it and added it. So you could go to the Austin Google offices and from the app and see the image that I took. So that's one way your kids can contribute to the world as well. So it's a really neat idea in terms of using photos to make things interesting. So Photosphere on your desktop, check that out as well. So another photo app is called Snapseed. Anybody know about Snapseed? This is another one of those companies that Google acquired. And Snapseed allows you to enhance, transform, and share your photos. It is a professional level photo editor. Great filters, all kinds of extras built in, and it's free. And of course it has Google Plus integration. I have seen some incredible photos that were taken with and enhanced with Snapseed, and sometimes they were taken with Google Glass, sometimes they were taken with just, a random phone, but you'd be amazed at how beautiful some of the pictures have been. Google Translate. So I always have to ask, do I have any foreign language teachers in the room when I talk about Google Translate, because that's when their heads start shaking. So Google Translate translates 80 languages. It will listen to you can listen to the translation spoken aloud. It will translate speech, and it has a handwriting, a little whiteboard kind of app built into it. And you can star your favorites. So if I was working on vocabulary, I could create a little word list for myself. I do hear this a lot. It is not a perfect translation by any means. And I think when we get into trouble is when we try to translate like entire essays and things like that. It's not going to be a perfect translation. However, I speak one language. If I'm in a bind and I need to know what someone else is trying to communicate, it can be useful. I had someone who tweeted me last week in, I think it was Portuguese because it wasn't Spanish. And I picked up a couple of the words, but I wasn't really sure. It's like, okay, what is this person saying? And I threw it into Google Translate, and it gave me a much clearer picture of what they were saying. So in terms of it being a perfect translation, no, we're not going to teach kids that that's the exact way to translate something, but at the same time, could you use it backwards? Could you translate it and have kids correct it? We're trying to learn a different language. Could you also, I've had teachers who told me that they use it as a starting point when they have to translate parent letters that go home in a different language. And so they'll throw it into translate before they hand it off to the person who finalizes it to keep them from having to rewrite the whole thing. Then they just make the corrections to make it sound the way it's supposed to sound. So I don't want to throw the tool out the window because I still think it has a lot of uses, but just keep in mind, it's not perfect. You don't know if they're saying you got a cat in your pants or whatever. So just keep that in mind. It is useful, and especially if you're like me and you have no idea what most other people are trying to say in another language. I can understand a little bit of Spanish, and that's about it.
The same way that you're using it, our ESL students use it. You know, because they know where the errors are in the translation, just like you know the errors in English. But it helps them a great deal when they're working in a digital world.
Great
Translate quickly, and they use it a lot.
I love it. Yeah, it's a good place. Like and you know, even with I taught language arts, and when there's now all these tools that will automatically summarize articles and things like that, and I don't really want to trust that as a good place, and I still want kids to learn how to summarize. So I want to flip that around and ask the kids, is that a good summary, and how do you know? So that they can in turn go back and learn how to use the skill and make those corrections. So Google Voice. Anybody with a Google Voice number? So Google Voice is a very interesting tool, and it basically will give you a phone number with very random area code. I don't even know where my area code actually is. But when you set it up, you set up your voice number that can be checked from any phone. You can have it ring any phone that you like. You can make calls with it. You can receive calls with it. You can also just have it go straight to voicemail, which is what I do. And what happens is the voicemail is then dictated into an email and sent to me. So if someone leaves me a voicemail, it comes into my Gmail and I can read it. I don't have to stop what I'm doing necessarily to listen to it. And you can use it for free text messaging. The other thing is when you don't want to give out your precious cell phone number that you pay for these plans, which have now gotten so expensive, right? You don't want to do that. When I was an instructional technologist at my school district, if I gave away my cell phone number, I was a help desk. I would have had teachers calling me 24/7 asking me questions. But I don't mind if that had like a little voicemail situation and they know that I'm not just at their, going to answer the phone at midnight to help troubleshoot. But you can also mask calls. So if I need to return a call to someone that I don't want to see this number, maybe I'm away from my office phone and I don't want that to become the main number and they start calling, I can use the Google Voice number, and so it looks like it's coming from the Google Voice number. And there are tons of resources for teachers to use this. Of course, you don't necessarily want to give, and some of you might, but I would be very leery to give my personal cell phone out to parents. Yeah. Same thing, right? They're going to call you anytime they want. So, but you could do a Google Voice number and have it ring any phone that you like, because we know we're not all tethered to that phone in the classroom. Most of the time when you're in the classroom, you can't actually answer the phone. So you could use that as an alternative. Chromecast. Any users of Chromecast? One? You like it? Yeah. So Chromecast, and that's a picture of the little device there, is, which is a little bit deceiving because it does have a power cord to it as well. But it allows you to cast video and other content from your device to your TV. So, and this is just an app that allows you to work through your settings. It's only $35, and most places right now you can get it even cheaper than that. So extremely affordable, way cheaper than an Apple TV. It offers a lot of the same types of streaming, Netflix, Hulu, those types of things. But because it's made by Google, they've opened up the API to developers. So the apps that are available is growing every single day. So if you go check that list, apps from the Chromecast store down here. You'll see which ones have been added, so it's changing all the time. You can also connect these to a VGA projector with a special adapter. So that actually plugs into an HDMI outlet on a TV. So it's made for a TV, but there are ways to make it work on your projectors that may still be running the VGA instead of the HDMI. Do I have any Google administrators that manage the domain? One? Is that busy? You're probably going to be the only one that cares about this, but you know there is an app. So you can do a few things. It's definitely not as robust as the dashboard, but you can control a few little things, access your logs and support and users and your groups. So just a quick side note on that. This one is a little more obscure as well. This is called Google Authenticator. And so if you have really sensitive data in your Google account and you want to add an extra layer of protection, maybe you're using it to store some sensitive student information or something like that, you can protect your account. And what it does is it basically adds that extra phone code. You know, when you set up your Google account and you had to set up a backup and it would text you a number. So it would do that every time you need to log in. It would text you a number to make sure you were really you to log in. So if that's an additional layer for something super sensitive, that is an option. So I use the Google shortener. You noticed that in the beginning. I use it all the time. There is an app for it. It's a third-party app, but it will quickly allow you to shorten links for sharing, and immediately you can share those to Twitter, Facebook messages, or email directly from the app. It is iPhone, so on some of these, if you're not finding it, it's because you're on the iPad section of the App Store. Go to iPhone at the top. But really easy. I love the Google shortener because it's connected to my account, and I have a whole list of every link I've ever made, and I get analytics, so I know how many times it's been clicked on. So if you're curious, you know, when you send out a link to parents, who's actually going there, you can see that. Google Wallet. So Google Wallet is very similar to Apple's Passbook. They're sort of warring right now that the whole Apple Pay thing has come out, but it allows you to carry loyalty programs and offers in one place. Of course, we've sort of moved out of classroom applications with this one, but you can send money, sort of like PayPal type of functionality, tracking orders. It is also iPhone. It's pretty handy though, and I like the fact that I get notifications when I purchase something using the, what is it called, the Google checkout. And it's just sort of a little verification as well. But I'm really hoping that the little loyalty thing, I'm tired of the keychain, all the little things on my keychain. Yes, ma'am.
If you have children in college, this is probably the best thing you've been able to find, because they always need money immediately. So everyone in my household has a Google Wallet card.
I love that. That's a great use. I'm going to add that.
And the feature you can ask, you just send a quick request for money, and it just pops on your phone. So I send my husband requests for money all the time.
That's great. I love it. And a really, really more obscure one here is called Google Shopping Express. And the only reason I really like to tie this one in is because it's relatively new and because of what's on the icon. And so I find that very interesting. It's going to allow you to shop from your favorite stores and get same-day delivery. So right now, of course, it's only available if you live in like Silicon Valley or New York. And it says coming soon to an area near you, but I'm thinking drones when I see that. I'm wondering what they're working on. You know, I'm just very, very curious about some of these things. So I just thought I would put that out there because it would be really nice when you don't, you know, if you're sick or something, you don't feel like getting out, you want Target to bring you something. So I have added a link here at the end if you would like to give me some feedback. As a Google Education trainer, I'm required to report back all of the Google training that I do. So I'd love any feedback that you would like to give me. And if you fill that out, you get a link to get a special badge for participating in today's session. And there's also a link here for joining a Google Educator group. So like I said, I'm a leader for the North Texas group, and they are popping up all over. Do you have one in North Carolina yet? Yeah. Is it a specific area or is it the whole state? I can't remember. I should have looked.
I thought you were going to say like
So, okay, well, the link is here to see, and you can see they're all over the world. And if you're interested in becoming a leader, you can click that little button if you really. But this is a great way to connect with other Google using educators across the globe, but in your area. Find out, when you have a question, you're like, this is not working, you put it into the community, and it's just a great resource to have. So, and if you're looking for more Google, I blog a lot about Google resources, and I probably will be updating that infographic again very soon with some more stuff. So, check that out. Here's the link to the presentation. I'll leave that up. And if anybody has any final questions, I think I did pretty good on time. We've got 3 minutes. Okay. Thank you guys for your